And now what about this guy, this other servant that buried his talent? Notice what he says to his master. Straight up, he starts defending his position of not doing anything with it with his own offense, with his own beliefs, with his own assumptions of what the master is like. I know you to be a shrewd manager, using other words. I know you to be shrewd and to expect impossible things with what you've given. You've given me nothing. What could I even do with it? So I buried it because I was afraid that you'd expect too much from me. So here's what you originally gave me. And so he does nothing with what he'd been given. Absolutely nothing. And it reminds me too of the message last week where we're looking at the older brother who claims to his father, like, all these years I've slaved for you and you've given me nothing. And yet, what did the father say? You're my son. Everything I have is yours. And so this servant had been given something and yet acted like he'd been given nothing and claimed in his defense, what can I even do with this one thing? And it's a red flag for us as Christians if we have any part of our heart that starts going down that lane, starts going down that train of thought or belief in our heart. Because if we believe that, it's just like believing that you have nothing and then even what you have will be taken away from you, because you and I have something. You've been given something and you've got something to do with it. And so the big thing here is, what do you believe? The battle is won and lost between your ears. What do you believe about what you've been given? Do you believe you've been given something and then you're busy about that? Or are you struggling and you find yourself tempted to bury it? I'm reminded of another story, and all these stories are popping into my head today. Isaac, it says, sowed in famine and reaped 100-fold. So here's a guy you could say was given a talent. He had seed. He had seed to sow. He chose to sow it in a famine and he reaped 100-fold. So these two servants reaped 2-fold. They doubled. Isaac reaped 100-fold. Astronomical increase. Why? He believed the Lord. He had faith. Because before he sowed, he had a word. The Lord had already told him, you're going to be fruitful. I'm going to multiply you like the stars. What did he do? He sowed his seed. What did this 5-talent guy do? He sowed it. He acted in faith. He acted in response to what he had. What did the 2 guys do? Acted in faith. What did the 1-talent guy do? No faith. I've only got one thing. And so I'm sure that Isaac had every reason in the book not to sow those seeds. Every reason to look out at the sky and look around and just think, what is the point? But he had a word. And you can have a word. And we have lots of words. And you can have a sense. But until you plant the seed, until you believe God, until you act in faith and walk in faith, the danger is we bury the very thing that He's wanted us to do because we believed that it wasn't any power in it. And that's the problem. And I think that's the big idea with this story of the talents, is what you and I believe.